It almost feels like a complete college football season now. The Big Ten's in play starting on Friday night with Wisconsin taking on Illinois. We got Steve Merrill on the line from ProSportsInfo.com. Steve joins us on a regular basis to break down the betting lines. And again, we've got the Big Ten in play. We've got three key matchups, all ranked teams in play. Steve, let's get right to it. We got a huge one in the Big 12, and it doesn't involve Texas. It doesn't involve Oklahoma. Get this, Iowa State at 17th in the country. They have lost a game, but it was outside the conference. At Oklahoma State, maybe the last bastion of hope for the Big 12 in the college football playoff, 8th ranked in the country. The Cowboys are a 3.5-point favorite.
Yeah, Mark, and we have an Oklahoma team that's still in the mix, I guess, for the college football playoff. But as you said, it's not the Sooners. I actually think Oklahoma State has a legitimate shot this year, and the reason being is because their defense is good this year. They've always been good offensively. They've never been able to stop anybody. And by the way, Oklahoma has that same problem over the years. Great offense, not a good enough defense to win it all. But this Oklahoma State defense is quietly having a fantastic season. They're allowing just 9 points a game, just 2.5 yards per rush, just 4 yards per play. Now, the concern is that they haven't played for 3 weeks, and that is a concern. It can work both ways. Extra prep time, everyone's fresh, but then again, you worry about that extended layoff. Iowa State, though, also coming off a bye, so it might be a little bit of a wash there. They have to travel, though, and I just think Oklahoma State has the better defense. Currently a 3.5-point favorite. I'm not sure the line's high enough. I made the line a little bit higher. I think the value's with the Cowboys here, and they remain an underrated team in the national title picture.
MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, breaking down the game we love each and every day. And this is a unique segment that we bring you each and every week, courtesy Steve Merrill. Please join him on ProSportsInfo.com. Just check out the banner right there. Michigan-Minnesota, certainly the headliner in the Big Ten. Both teams ranked. Minnesota coming off that aberration of a season. We shall see if PJ Fleck certainly can pull through once again, and if this is a program on the rise. The Gophers off an 11-2 bowl victory against Auburn, a 3-point underdog at home against the Maize and Blue.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at last year's results, the wrong team is favored here, and I actually still think the wrong team is favored based on how I think this game's going to play out this year. The Big Ten obviously wasn't going to play back in August. They saw everybody else having some fun this season. They decided to join the party. I'm glad they did. It's good, obviously, as a sports bettor and a handicapper, it gives us more games. And as a fan, it also gives us more games to watch. But the big difference in this one isn't necessarily that Minnesota's at home, because we know the crowd's not going to be an issue like it normally is, but it's still a very unusual place to play. So I do think that favors the Gophers a little bit. But bigger, though, is the quarterback situation here. Michigan, new quarterback, 4 new offensive linemen. They're going to have some struggles, I think, offensively out of the gate with no preseason, limited practice to prepare. Meanwhile, Minnesota probably has as good in the country, definitely in the Big Ten this year, quarterback-receiver combination with Morgan to Bateman. And I think that could be the difference in this game. We have a much more efficient passing attack with Minnesota. And then on top of that, we get them as a 3-point home dog. As you know, Mark, 3 is a very critical number. Football favorites win by exactly a field goal about 8 to 9% of the time. I think the wrong team is favored here. I think Minnesota has an excellent chance to win this one outright, and the +3 is some added value.
That rare hope that the group of 5 could possibly make a college football playoff, that pool has widened in recent years. Certainly it was just Boise State for a long time. There was TCU before they joined the Power 5, Houston as well in recent years, but UCF, of course, held the crown for a few years. Now you've got Cincinnati in play the last few years, along with Memphis, and now SMU at home, 16th ranked in the country, taking on Cincinnati. Of course, both teams are undefeated, and the Mustangs come in as a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah, of all the years where you could see an outsider making that Final Four, you would think it'd be this year when the Pac-12, Big Ten aren't playing. Of course, the Big Ten is now back to the party, so that makes it a little more difficult maybe for one of these smaller teams to sneak in. But the Big 12 is really down this year. It looks like Texas, Oklahoma have played their way out, so there is still a chance for an AAC team to sneak in, and this very well could be an elimination game for one of these teams' chances. Cincinnati and SMU, the 2 best teams right now. I think the wrong team is favored here. This game actually opened as a pick'em, and the money has come on SMU. As you mentioned, Mark, they're now a 2.5-point home favorite. I disagree with that move. I think Cincinnati can win this one outright. The concern I have here is the 3-week layoff. They had a bye week and then a game postponed against Tulsa last week on the road due to some 5 COVID tests positive for the Bearcats. In hindsight, they probably could have gone ahead and played that game. They took it safe. They should be well ready to go here. And although it's a little bit of a long layoff here, SMU's in a tough spot. They played that Friday night overtime game at Tulane, a back-and-forth 37-34 shootout win. They have one extra day off of that, but I'm not sure it's enough to regroup here against a much better defensive opponent in Cincinnati. And that's where the Bearcats have the edge in this game, allowing just 12 points per game, 4.3 yards per play. SMU's allowing over double that, 25.5 a game. They're allowing 5.5 yards a play. I'll take the better defensive team here now as an underdog, as the money once again is coming on SMU from pick'em to 2.5. Let's see if it hits that key number of +3 by this weekend. Cincinnati would have some value at that point.
All right, folks. So Steve gives us a 3-pack on the 3 biggest games of the week, his insight and information on those games. Join us over on Patreon, where Steve will give us an off-the-radar selection, as he does each and every week. And, of course, you've got my predictions there, exclusive live streams, and an insider look over on Patreon.